MyT coaches drive member success in achieving workplace goals. MyT coaches are a diverse collection of experienced professionals, including credentialed coaches, notable industry executives, and experts at training, all at the fingertips of members. Each coach delivers unique expertise and value that contributes to members' career planning, skill growth, and specific workplace results. Members who don't know where to begin will work with expert coaches in career development and assessment to develop their own compelling career plans. Members who have a compelling career plan can work with coaches one-on-one to accelerate growth and fill gaps in skills through personal instruction, role play, and feedback. Members facing workplace challenges and opportunities will work with coaches as advisors to develop, role play, and refine effective approaches for optimum outcomes. MyT coaches describe their domains of expertise and identify their preferred topics for coaching with their online profiles. Members use keywords or topic tags to find expert coaches and request sessions with online booking tools. Coaching and results are at their fingertips. Join MyT and assemble your own personal board of directors that will contribute to your success and achievements.
Seven hours and 37.
Oops. That's not good.
Yeah.
Okay. Why don't we get started here? Greg, how many people do we have in the waiting room?
I think everybody's here, so I don't think the waiting room got turned on. So we have 16 attendees, it looks like.
Okay, so 16 attendees. Why don't we give another few minutes for the rest to join? It's not exactly 6 yet. What I thought we would do is open up the chat and allow people to post their questions if they have any in the Q&A, right? Why don't we put it there? If anyone wants to throw a few initial questions out, if they're not going to be covered in the panel, we may entertain them here, or we may save them for the Q&A. The last 15 minutes of this session will be open to the questions of the attendees.
Yeah, we're getting a few more people. There's 23 now, Mark.
Yes. Yes, so Ji Hua Wang, good to see Fred and Mark. May need your mentoring. Okay, that's great. Anyone else who wants to post the first question? Here we go. Monica says, an opportunity comes at my unit to apply for a manager's position, but I absolutely have no confidence. What shall I do? Okay, which coach would like to have a bite at that apple? George, CP, Kathy, Fred?
I'll go.
Okay, George.
That's why you need our coaches. One first rule of any successful career professional is the level of confidence that you might have. I mean, you could choose not to apply because you don't want the job. If you want a job, you got to have the confidence of applying for the job, minimally the confidence of applying for a job, because it will show true, really so true. Even you apply for a job and still no confidence, it will show true in the interview. So I feel like we have to have a conversation on why do you not have confidence in a job that most likely interested, otherwise you won't be asking the question. So
Great.
That's my take on it. Mark.
Great. Anyone else want to have a shot?
Well, yeah, so I think there's different perspectives and from employees and to measure the job. One is, from the job description, you will see how much you match the job description. Second is totally is a personality issues, and then you're probably certainly qualified, but you're dare to step forward. That's personality issues. So that's why it's just like a comments that George said. You need a experienced career coach to help you to conquer that barrier of personality issues if you are qualified for that job.
Good answer. Thank you, Fred. How about you, Kathy? You want to bite at that apple?
Yeah, I think regarding personality, Mark, you also, very professional doing the personality assessment. So I think very important to have the awareness, who you are, what you like to do, what you're good at. A lot of people don't realize, somebody just naturally good at something and has huge potential to develop. And some people just like myself, I started as an engineer. I'm not good at it at all. And I hated it, right? Even though I had all the score A's, but I did not enjoy it. So I think it's very important to understand yourself, including the personality and your passion, what you're good at.
I like all three of those answers, very distinctive. I'm going to add a fourth one. The fourth one is, if you have a career plan, you have an ambition for yourself, where you want to end up and what you want to do throughout that career, it will help force you out of the comfort zones that would make confidence a barrier. You would look at ways to attack the lack of confidence to push you forward, right? So having a career plan, and I know George has a whole stream of classes and articles about career planning, right? As do many of the coaches. But having that is, I believe, a valuable component to help overcome confidence issues. Okay, another question here. I feel I don't know how to manage people. As a manager, I have to manage a few staff. This will probably be the last free-form question, but that's the second one. So, Fred, you want to start on that one?
Sure. Yeah, it is tough for people, especially they're not trained and to start with. I know a lot of people, especially a Chinese American, and start with the technical side, and then switch to the managerial side. And then unlike a lot of American people start with that kind of training from home, from school, and from their career planning. And they start with managerial training, and then and they can talk, they can reach out to people, they can stimulate their people. So I think that's just the heart. And then to make you a good manager, start to think about the one word called empathy. You use empathetical motion or emotionally and also personality to think about the people you're dealing with, not only just your employee, but your superior, and then try to understand what they're thinking, what they want, what they mean, and then initiate a meaningful, a productive conversation.
Okay, good. Very good. George, Kathy, any of you have something quick before we motor ahead?
Yeah, I think it depends on how many people reporting to you. At the very beginning, it is very important to spend some one-on-one time to get to know, what your subordinates are like, what are their personality, what are they good at, and what ways may be more effective to manage them. So in general, it's not just one way to manage all, but of course, you set up some policies, some process is going to help you and save you a lot of time. But you really need to find out what would motivate them and what they are best at, so you know how to leverage and how to inspire them as well.
How about you, George?
Yeah, I think it goes back to career planning. If indeed being a manager is one of your desired career opportunity, certainly you should be preparing yourself not only to get coaches, but the basic fundamental of being a manager require a lot of different skill that we as engineers, I don't know if she's an engineer or not, coming out of college, nobody teach you to be manager in college, right? So it's something that you have to learn and acquire either through training, through professional development classes, and actually practice managing people in a very non-threatening conditions, which we always talk about. Volunteer for some nonprofit work will allow you to manage people in a very safe environment. Those are all the things lead to it, but it requires actually part of the planning process of being a successful professional, which path you go, manager or not. So that's a long conversation. I'm not sure you can answer that question in 2 or 3 minutes.
Yes. So, George, you in particular have come a long way from that engineering role that you were trained in to last Saturday running a networking in-person event along with Kathy in Chicago. Do you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, I always felt like everybody's answer to career success is networking, but nobody ever told you what is networking, why networking, where do you do networking, how do you do networking, most importantly, and what we as Asian American Chinesmen faces. So I created a set of classes that I've been teaching actually for a while now. And since Kathy was in town, we actually, through the help of Jinwa, who's actually on the call, and AFI, we have a small group networking session with about 12 people. And they actually test some of the material. Hopefully, I have to let them decide it was useful for them because only a short time, so I couldn't cover all the materials. But I thought it was good. In fact, I wrote a little summary. And on the MyT.Coach resource page, everybody can look at it, and it does point you to the article on networking 1 and 2. That's explain my philosophy. So hopefully people could take a look at it and get a taste of it. And we actually am planning additional networking classes next time I'm somewhere, potentially Atlanta in April. So it's a good way of us going out to the community and actually get in person to meet with some of the folks and get a taste of what we try to teach online.
Right.
Hopefully that helps, man.
Yeah, and networking together within MyT is another powerful aspect of our community.
Indeed.
Yes, we've done a number of training courses in conjunction with AFI as a partner, and we've had hundreds of people take those courses, the effectiveness class, Empower Professional Effectiveness, and we're actually running an 8th edition of that starting in May. I'm going to talk about that at the end of the session. But for now, why don't we jump in? Let me remind folks who are on this webinar, if you have questions you want us to cover in the panel, post those in the Q&A, not in the chat. All right, the Q&A is where we're trying to look for questions for the panel. The chat is more procedural if you have an issue or need administrative help. Okay, let's go into the first question. I want each panelist to introduce themselves, give us your background, and let us know how you've been working with others to deliver impact. Who would like to go first?
I can go.
Okay, Fred.
Yeah, so I got to take some first, and I not always give that privilege to George. Hi everyone, and maybe some of them you already know me. My name is Fred Ma. I'm a trained neurosurgeon, a neuroscientist, and I practiced for 10 years as a neurosurgeon, board certified in oncology and functional neurosurgery and neurodegenerative disorders, and then switched a career to pharmaceutical, biotech, and medical device, and for 32 years. I'm working in J&J, Merck, and GE Healthcare, and some of the startup as a C-suite executives. My last job was a senior VP and chief medical officer. I just retired last week from my last job, and I think as a C-suite and for so many years, and in biotech, pharmaceutical, with medical related, I can give you some tips and my good and bad, ugly experience, and to help you to get into your career from multi-layers, different perspectives, and from the engagement to how to go through the process and networking, deal with your people, solve the problem solving, and then also deal yourself. Not mentioned a lot of specific technical and scientific questions as well. So please reach out to me. Yeah.
Great. Kathy, what's your background?
A lot of people know me. I started as an engineer, then I switched to sales and marketing, then switched to the general management. Right now, I'm doing executive recruiting and executive coaching. So I coach people from very diverse background, how to interview, how to negotiate your compensation, which I do every day, and how to manage up, manage down, manage across, and also how to manage the life-work balance. Because, I have 3 kids. I have been working full-time. I have been traveling around the world. So really about the time management and the multitask. Thank you.
Don't you also do a lot of nonprofit activity? You want to share that part too?
Yes, many people know I started a Fun Fitness Dance 2 years ago. Actually, we just celebrated the 2-year anniversary yesterday. So far we have 160,000 entries for past 2 years. So a lot of people come here to stay fit, to also, feel happy, and also find a great network to feel like a family.
Great.
Thank you.
How about you, George?
Hey, save the best for last, hey?
Absolutely. Always.
I just want to say hi to everyone, and I want to say thank you to Mark and Kathy and Fred for being part of this distinguished team. My background is pretty simple. I'm a farmer kid that grew up in Hong Kong, came to America because I had to come because my father said this is good for you. So I entered into high school here and went to a local college in Chicago in computer science and ended up in one of the major company called AT&T Biolaboratory. Went through the ranks as a technical person into director and then switched over to business. And then I promptly took early retirement and then started my own company and then went to work for a nonprofit and spent the last 12 years in the federal government. So I'm some of those people that couldn't keep the job, but I feel like I maximize my career potential at every phase of what I try to do. And through it all, I've been able to kind of capture why I'm unsuccessful as a kid who couldn't quite speak the language, as an engineer couldn't quite do programming, as a manager couldn't quite manage. But the success of my ability is captured in what I call closing the deal in career management, which is capture all the essence of what I learned. And I've been teaching this to people, anybody could listen to for a while. And I find it very impactful for people to learn my story, but also give them some method of internalizing some of my learning into what they do. And also such as a practical approach where they could also maximize their career in a very meaningful way. And that's what I'm trying to bring to the table here. And I try to summarize everything I know. I'm a kind of open book because I wrote everything in my mind in this article and people could read it. And I'm like these Yan Can cook, right? I can give you the cookbook and all the recipe, but you still need to talk to me to figure out how to use it, right? So that's the idea of what I'm trying to bring to the coaching network. And I'm sure people, a lot of coaches are very skillful in different opportunity and skill set, but I'm kind of a generalist, could help people through. So that's a
great. Wonderful. Thank you. So you've heard the introduction of 3 of our coaches. We actually have many coaches on MyT.Coach. And that's one of the things that truly differentiates MyT.Coach from other types of coaching offerings and services. So what we do is allow our members to assemble their own personal board of directors. So besides these 3 here that already have very diverse backgrounds, we have others that have even different backgrounds than they do. And you may ask, like, what are their coaching certifications or processes? And, you know, different coaches are coming at this from different angles within MyT. Some are coming from the traditional coaching background with ICF and 16 personalities and Myers-Briggs and all of the certificates around coaching. And some are coming purely as executives, more like mentors, who perhaps they won't coach you on using an ICF template or doing a self-assessment, but they will be so instrumental in giving you guidance on how to approach a performance review or how to interview effectively for a very challenging and compelling opportunity that you've been working on, right? So on both ends of the spectrum, we have a range of coaches, and there will be some in the middle we call skills coaches who can teach you about communications or assertiveness. And all of these people are very deep in their areas. And as a MyT member, you can search their profiles, you can book time on their calendars, and you can really chart your own course and assemble your own board of directors to help you drive success on your unique journey in your career. That's what MyT is all about. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the second question. What are the focus areas for coaching topics? And I know that each of you has perhaps 5 to 10, but I just want you to pick 2 or 3 that you're most excited about to share with this audience. Kathy, you want to go first?
Yeah, I mean, based on the nature of my work and also the work I do mostly on the daily basis is really about how to find a great job and how to negotiate your compensation and also how to successfully land first 90 days. That's what I have been coaching mostly, especially during the pandemic.
Yeah, and that's because you're a CEO of a very exciting recruiting company, right? You deal with American companies, European companies, Asian companies, Chinese companies. So that gives you great perspective. How about you, Fred?
Well, yeah, there are many areas I can coach, but if you think two of them is, since my background is as a doctor, once a doctor, always doctor, and then I've been utilizing my medical training on my job a lot, and ever since I became executive, that medical training was really substantiated into the job, and that really helpful. So what I can do is just really assessing each of the inquirers and for your career plan, and help you to build effective and efficient career plan to tailor yourself, your personality, and then your skills and your training, and then to approach for a successful journey for your career. Second one is that there are many bumpy hurdles and throughout your career and during your career path, and you can come to me and present those, and I can help you to generalize your own personal career personalities, and then to build your characteristics, and then to focus on successful career fulfillments. So this is kind of a like too generic, but we can talk about the differences.
Yeah, Fred, so like your background, being a PhD and an MD, and being one of those experts, down in the lab somewhere for a big pharma company, and having to learn the skills, having to observe and understand what skills you had to acquire and how you had to network to get to be the chief medical officer in a big pharmaceutical company is a very impressive journey. And if people are in pharma, they could just harvest all kinds of great insights from you. If they're not from pharma, just to understand your process would help a lot of people, especially those who are foreign born, how to really overcome the barriers.
Yeah, that's another big,
right. Bamboo ceilings, glass ceilings, all kinds of ceilings. You had to smash them. So I just wanted to point that out to the audience.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. Yeah,
absolutely. George, last but certainly not least, George.
Save the best for last, I always say. So, yeah, certainly giving my experience spanning multiple sectors, multiple levels, and I certainly could coach folks on being an engineer, how to get up to the technical ladder. And then I also had experience going from the technical side to the business side, which is not the easiest thing at the director level, giving a $400 million business to manage by someone who trusts me implicitly, right? So, and then my travel into the entrepreneur world also gave me a lot of learning on how to react to situation, and then how to slow down when I enter the nonprofit world, and really slow down when we enter the federal government for 12 years. But all through that, I've been doing a lot of Asian American advocacy. In fact, one of the quick learning I have in my last job at the White House Initiative is really help to understand what faces Asian American in total as they progress through their career, how to maximize their career, how to maximize their businesses. There are a lot of hidden challenges most people don't talk about. And I'm not afraid to talk about them. And I try to be honest with people when they come to me with a problem. And most likely I guess have seen some form of it. And I tend to be honest with them, both in terms of their self-assessment and also practical approach, how to maximize their opportunities. So I think that's something that's unique. And through all the training that I give, I always give a slice to the Chinese and Asian American. And also I call immigrant, the diaspora community, to face the similar challenges in terms of cultural differences. And I know enough about minimally the Asian and Chinese cultures to help at least this group audience, who are mostly Chinese American, to understand their challenges and some reality of life that we have to deal with. So that's something that is somewhat unique for me, and I feel very confident that I could sense the situation and offer practical approach to it.
Now, George is one of these people. He has reached high levels in very different industries and different roles. And he's humble. So he was making jokes, that he didn't write good code or he wasn't a good manager. That's all just being humble. George has always impressed me with how high he's gotten and how well networked he is. In fact, one of our many nicknames for George is Bacon. Because like Kevin Bacon, he seems to be 6 degrees away from everybody you ever want to meet. He is very well connected. He's a networking expert. So that's one of his many nicknames. His other is 007 because he worked as a special
agent. I'm the no, there's no secret now. I'm the new next James Bond.
That's right. That's right. Oh. Another thing I wanted to say is besides these awesome coaches that we have in our portfolio, we call it the gallery of coaches on MyT.Coach. We also have excellent member resources, which are keyword searchable and also tagged by topics. So members are able to access that, and there's more coming every week. There's more articles, there's videos in the pipeline. There's events, some are members only. So these are some additional benefits members get besides, being able to go in and pick and choose and schedule coaching sessions with the people who match their needs in their board of directors. Now let's take the next question here. What is a board of directors for your career? And I've been sharing that already, so I want to give each of the coaches a chance to explain it in their own way. Let's start with George.
Yeah,
George?
you only shut me up when you put the mute button on. Thanks, Mark, for letting me go first.
You're welcome.
Only take 45 minutes. Now, the board of directors is very simple. Like, I'm looking at potentially, I would love to have this group of coaches as part of my board of director. In fact, all through my career, I say I have a lot of friends, and people say that's good networking. I met Kathy about 20 years ago in Motorola when I teach a class on taking charge of her career back then. And ever since, I've been using her because her expertise in international business, especially China. So I was actually doing international business consulting for the government. And when it comes to China issues, I always go to Kathy. Now, I didn't have to pay, but I also offer my advice in return. But that is one of a critical part of my career success is I don't have to ask people, my bosses, how to do things. I ask people like Kathy. I would love to have Joe, who's a professor in Stanford, to teach us communication for me to learn how to communicate. I was being told that I was not a good communicator, except until I got promoted. But I want to make sure that people understand you need to have more than one person that you could go to. Diversity is, in fact, very important. And for the Asian and Chinese American, I was encouraged to go back to the community to get the diversity of coaches. And that's one thing that we don't do enough. But this idea of board of director for a career is fantastic. And I think we have a setting for that. Hopefully that answers your question, Mark.
Absolutely, yes. And I'm an exclamation point, not just a question mark. Kathy, how about you?
Yeah, so for many people only know about the board of directors for companies, but very few people realize what are the board of directors for your personal career. I just give you a few examples. Few students I'm coaching, right? All different backgrounds. One is a white guy who is managing a global company. So he has to travel to China quite often. He has many organizations to manage in China. So he got me as his one of his board of directors to tell him how to deal with Chinese senior level coworkers, how to deal with Chinese customers, and how to deal with Chinese government, and how to manage this diverse workforce. And he also has another board of directors is kind of Chinese government official because they do a lot of business with Chinese government. So just give you an example, right? And then I also coach another Indian guy in Silicon Valley. So he's a senior VP. So what he needs me is because in his organization, there's so many Chinese. And he said the Chinese and Indians are white are so different. And the Chinese always say, yes, yes, I agree, but they're not really agree. So he gets very frustrated. So he just said, okay, how could I motivate them? Most important is how could I retain them? Because there's so many opportunities in Silicon Valley. So I work with him. And then another is a Chinese lady. She's a vice president. So I become her board of directors member. So she needs to know, Kathy, how do I deal with the management board is all white? As a lady, how could I deal with them? And also, I have children. Should I tell management board that, yeah, I have a spring break, I have to take this week off, or I just keep working remotely? Or, how I be effective and people not thinking I am just too soft. So when you different the situations, you need a different board of directors to help you not only be more effective, but also, get rid of your stress. Because when you feel you have a power team to help you, you pretty much comfortable to take whatever challenges on your way and engage whatever opportunities you feel passionate about. Thank you.
Thank you. How about you, Fred?
Yeah, I think they took all my words. I want to be the best, not for the last. All right, so yeah, it is. It's a new concept I just heard from MyT when I joined MyT. I think that makes sense. And personal board directors is, first of all, those are your coaches and then their team members. As a matter of fact, they're experienced team members. You can always go to them for different perspective. Then keywords is diversity and the perspectives. So you can seeking for different opinions and seeking for different, it doesn't have to be the same perspective from what you think. And then, but if you be humble, if you be respectful, and you will get a lot of help from them. I just very appreciate in about when I was getting into this industry. There's a quote from Margaret Thatcher, who used to be the Prime Minister of UK, and she always says, "So watch your thoughts, okay, because that become your words." And watch your words that become your actions, and watch your actions becomes your habits, and watch your habits become your character, and watch your character finally become your destiny. And how that's kind of a sequentially becoming destiny is a good or bad destiny. That's you need a board of director to help you, and those people will save your time and save your energy and correct the mistakes, and helping you to build the thoughts and the words and your action. And then finally, you can have your very successful destiny.
Great. Awesome. Let's go to the next question. So what does a career plan impact your career results? And George, I'd like to start with you again because you've written so much within MyT. Why don't you just pull something for us?
Yeah, so it impacts everything. It's just like when you go on your GPS, you don't know where you're going, you're not going to get there, right? It's very simple. I mean, in the career plan, I always recommend folks to think about 5 years from now, not necessarily 20 years now, I want to be a senior VP of some company or CEO of some company. Something that's manageable, something you could work toward. And a stage approach of career management is what I actually teaches. Impacting result is you got to set goals. Otherwise, you don't know what the result is, and you got to measure it. And if it doesn't work, you can go back to. So my basic philosophy in career planning is really prepare for your new job, go practice it in a safe environment, and then actually act on it and actually evaluate. So that's a full cycle kind of thing. There's some of the quality management folks understand what that means. Is having a plan is essential. And I do a lot of career planning classes. I could tell that they really don't have a plan when they ask those questions, because some of the questions I would still answer it. But if you look at when we did a lot of career planning seminar, a lot of people don't have a plan. So the questions are pretty random.
Okay, great.
So,
how about you, Fred?
Well, yeah, so plan is plan, whether that's executable, practical, and that's another different things. So don't be mad at yourself. Your plan, it's always hitting the brick wall, or always have difficulties. You will learn and to tweak your plan and while you're going. And then at the beginning is always bumpy, and that's why you need companions, you need coaches, you need great leaders to help you. That's why we're here to help you. So it certainly need a plan, but I don't like you put yourself, okay, I want to be a manager this year. Next year, I want to be a senior manager. In 2 years, and I want to be associate director. In 5 years, I want to be a VP. That's never going to work. Okay, that's never going to work. So you have to tell yourself, am I passionate about my job? Okay, if not passionate, don't go this way. This ladder not working for you. If I'm so passionate, okay, and then I'm going to my coaches, my board of directors, and talk about who I am, because I told my fellow coaches, you don't know you because you are you. Once you know you, you're not you. This is a little complicated because you always think you know yourself, but not. You always come to the people who know you to tell you who are you. And then you can make a practical plan and execute it.
Great. Thank you. Kathy?
Yeah, I think career planning is very important, but as Fred mentioned, you have to tweak your career plan along the way. For example, I never thought I would become an executive recruiter, never thought of it. But because of so many years when I work as engineer and sales, marketing, and then executive, and also have been working with Fred and George, helping the Asian community. So we think, okay, how to help more Asians get into executive positions, right? That has become my passion. So gradually you turn that into your career. So you possibly in better control, you have more chance to help more people. So the career plans really follow your heart, and also depends on different life stages you have. Then you need to look at what the direction to take. And I always feel like the life-work balance is very important. So you have to look at, what's more important for you. And I also agree with Fred, which I spoke in many seminars. You are not talking about, hey, I just want to become a VP, I just want to become a CEO. It should not be title driven, should be value driven. What's the impact you want to make instead of just want to be a vice president. Thank you.
Great. I'd also like to jump in here too, because my perspective on career planning is somewhat unique, but it could apply to many people who have the same creative drive. I've always been a really creative person and was always wanted to be on the cutting edge. Where could I have a white sheet of canvas on which to create something? So I've always been drawn to the bleeding edge of technology, whether it was wireless in the 80s or cloud technology or location-based services or artificial intelligence, always drawn to what's the new thing that needs my special touch. And at the beginning of the journey, I identified very specific experiences I wanted to sprinkle in. So while I was working, I was discovering opportunities to move on. Before my spot became mature and very routine, I would move on to the new area of technology and find a job where I could use my creativity. And I know that might apply to some people in here who are also more creative types, drawn by excitement and change, versus people who are very, want to be more specialized and go deeper, right? So now I'd like to go to the next section before we do Q&As, and I've got a bunch of Q&A questions submitted by the audience. I want to share some slides about some exciting things that are coming up. Okay, let me
Thanks AFI be the sponsor of the event. We have been working together, and every Tuesday. This is class 6, right? Class 8.
That's right. So the first thing I'd like to talk about is we have memberships in MyT.Coach, and there's three types of memberships. There's a free membership, which is basically newsletter and announcements from us. The second one is the silver, which allows you to have 200 credits, which is roughly 4 standard training coaching hours. And then we have the gold package, which is 750 credits, which is approximately 15 standard coaching hours. And each coach is allowed to choose what is their coaching rate. So 50 is what we call the standard rate. And for the rest of March, which is only about a week, we are offering 100 free additional coaching credits to anyone who buys either a silver or a gold membership during this month. And what that comes out to is 2 free coaching hours at the standard rate. And that's a value of approximately $600 added to the value that the MyT membership already delivers. So you can join by going to become a member at www.myt.coach. And if you have any questions, you can send an email to coaching@myt.coach. The next thing I want to talk about is how to participate in the 8th edition of Empower Professional Effectiveness. So we have partnered again with AFI, Alliance for Impact. The class starts May 14th and it ends on June 25th. It'll be every Saturday, 1:30 to 3:30 Pacific or 4 o'clock to 6:30 Eastern Time. And we have coaches that are the trainers. So besides delivering skills, they also can provide coaching during these sessions. People like Kathy Peng here, who is our chief instructor. She does all the summaries in Chinese at the end of every class session. We have George with his broad skills in closing the deal in your career move. We have Kimberly Sauceda, how to manage up, down, and across and be effective at all levels in the organization around you. We have Bindu Garapati, and Bindu's focus is personal power for professional success. Then Selena Yuan leads a session on designing your own career. And then there's this guy named Mark Nadell who does effective professional communications. So we deliver professional impact over 7 sessions. It's 100% interactive. Each class is 2 hours in English, which is instruction, followed by a 30-minute summary conducted by Kathy. 5 of the sessions are instructor-led classes, and then we have 2 Harvard Business School style case studies that follow at the end, where you integrate all of the learning and practice in real time. And there's been hundreds of people who've taken this particular course. This is the 8th. There've been 7 before. And here are some endorsements, some of many that we captured here. We're going to share them.
Targeted for Chinese immigrants. And in particular, it addresses the culture differences, somewhat subtle but impactful. This is a fantastic complementary program to the MBA I just finished from Wharton, a top business school. I highly recommend it.
In 4 months, I was fortunate to receive a 25% compensation increase. I highly recommend this training.
I would like to recommend this training course to many hardworking professionals who would like to move up the corporate ladder.
When my company was having its annual meeting in February, I was picked as the MC for the meeting. My MCing got really good feedbacks from my colleagues. That was very satisfying.
I have already taken actions and found 2 mentors within my company to help me grow my career.
Okay.
It's targeted for...
So you can register now and reserve your spot. It's $880 per student, and you can register at the viswiseacademy.com schedule of courses under Empower Prof Effectiveness. You can see that here on your screen.
Mark, we don't see the registration page.
Yeah, you have to click the link.
Okay.
Right. Okay, now we're going to move to Q&A. We've got a number of really good questions that came in. One is from Sandy, who said, I lead a group of part-time volunteers for a nonprofit. When I don't have performance review or promotion to motivate those people, what other methods can I use to transfer passive participants into proactive contributors? Who would like a shot at that?
Mark, could you remove the screen share? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Mark, I'll take on that because that's what I do nowadays. I'm retired, a lot of volunteer work. So I think the managing volunteer is a unique set of skills. In fact, it is a great practice for managing people because they could promise things and they might not deliver. Well, I've been, in case you know this, last year I did a virtual job fair purely on volunteer. I got 60 volunteers. We have, at the end of it, we have 400 job seeker, 100 employer. How do you get volunteer to do work? It's really you have to understand why they're volunteering, what they volunteer for, and kind of you can't hold them to it. But once you understand why they volunteer, give them an assignment that could help them meet their skill set. Some people volunteer, they want to show and participate last year on how to do customer relationship, client relationship. And so I assign them to getting sponsors, getting a company to come. So they have to deal and leverage that set of skill. Some people just want to share their experiences. So I kind of assign them to be one of the coaches in our coaching seminar. So it's idea of leveraging what they want out of the volunteer assignment into a very manageable set of activity that could drive the result that you're looking for as a manager. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah, I'd also like to add something here because ever since my undergrad days, when I took a small 7-person organization called the American Marketing Association at our college, it was a dying organization when I joined it. And working with those volunteers, we grew to over 200 members within a year. And we became the biggest, most active organization on campus. And from that point forward, I was always stimulated by volunteer opportunities. The last 20 years of my career have been on community building for large tech companies. And I would take a community of maybe 10,000 fairly passive and build it into millions, 4 million, 5 million, 2 million. And it's all leveraging insights about why are these people coming in? What are they there for? The volunteers are all there for a reason. And as George was hinting at with some of his answers, is you have to unlock the motivation. What's the missing thing they're coming to your organization to do? Is it to associate? Is it to achieve something? Is it to try something? Do they want visibility? Do they want recognition? It's a lot of psychological factors, but you can unlock those once you develop the awareness of what to look for. Okay? Fred, do you have anything you want to share?
You are muted.
I totally agree with what you just mentioned. My personal experience is really from the church, and being a Christian for over 50 years, and I serve for the church. We're volunteers, so no way to volunteers, and the volunteer means no pay. Okay, they donated their time, and then they you got nothing but appreciation to them. But if you want to measure the contribution, measure their deliverables, and that's really hard. And just like Mark mentioned, you got to unlock their motivations, where they come from, and you have to know their background, their expertise, and then their professionals, and then what they can do, and then you have to set a small skill for each volunteers to be expected. Otherwise, there never been satisfaction, right?
Great, thank you, Fred. How about you, Kathy?
Yeah, everybody knows about the AFI, right? And the AFI has been brought so much resource and great seminars for all the Chinese Americans. So a lot of events are running by volunteers. And by being volunteers, they learn so much on the leadership and the communication and the collaboration. And also for my Cassie Fun Fitness Dance, I have over 80 volunteers. And a lot of people say, oh, they never emceed one event before, they never managed the people before, and they never thought that they would, write beautiful articles. But they come volunteering, they find their own passion, they find their own potential. They also, a lot of them become great leaders. So I think volunteering is really, when you don't have a position power, the influencing power actually is most powerful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good point. Yeah.
There is a question that came in. I'm just going to answer it directly because I think it's valuable for the audience to hear it. What kind of coaching programs does MyT offer? Do we have private coaching with one of you or all of you, or small group coaching with one of you or all of you? How long is a coaching program? Is it long-term membership style coaching, or is it 911 emergency style firefighting coaching? And I'm going to say it is all of the above because it's true. The most popular style is one-on-one coaching because you are assembling a board of directors around your needs on your unique journey in your career, your goals, your challenges, your skills. Everyone will need different blend of coaches and a different mix within that blend to meet their needs. Secondly, we do have small group coaching. And George is about to announce his first small group coaching session with, I think it's either 4 or 6 people. The details will come forth on that. But we've done small group coaching, usually on a particular topic. You post it out there, and 4 to 6 people who are interested will come in and share George for the allotted time. And it's a great value for the members because they're sharing a session. It's like Uber share. You're sharing a ride and you're splitting it. You're getting great benefit out of it. It may be not highly personalized like one-on-one, but it's so beneficial because you're hearing other challenges other people have and you learn from them. And then you get to ask your challenges in that group session. We also have done workshops where it's a few coaches together with a larger audience typically going into breakout rooms and discussing a very specific topic that draws a large group that really wants to perfect some skills. And then you asked, is it long-term style or is it 911? I think I've covered that, because for most people, when you assemble a board of directors, it's a journey, and you're going to need different expertise for different aspects of what you're trying to accomplish. You're going to want to chart your path. You're going to want to know where you are, and you're going to need help to figure out where you want to end up and what you need during the journey, what you need to develop, what you need to add to your success story in order to make progress. So that would be one kind of coach to help you and periodically check in with. Then you're going to have very important meetings, maybe keynote presentations or panel sessions or interviews for a job. Maybe you need help on your resume, your LinkedIn. Maybe you need to assess, what is your EQ, your emotional quotient, and what can you do to improve it? How about your personal brand? You need to develop that. Perhaps you need help reviewing an offer, a job offer, and you need someone to help you negotiate salary. Perhaps you have difficult employees on your team. You need someone to help you become more assertive and coach you and do role play. There's so many ways you can use a board of directors for different opportunities and long-term or immediate challenges in your career. Okay, now we got 5 minutes left. We have a really interesting question from Jingnan Zhao. He says, if we haven't found the area in which we have passion, how can we plan our career path? Trying various kinds of work or just focusing on the one discipline we're currently doing? So how do you discover that passion? And if you're already in a channel, maybe you don't have passion, do you just stick with it, or what do you do? Who wants to take that?
Or
Yeah, I can.
Become billionaire. You don't need a passion.
Kathy, you want to get a shot?
Yeah, Jinan, I think many people are in the same situation as you. I was on the same way before. Like I mentioned, right? I was an engineer. I never really enjoyed it, even though I had greater grades. So few ways I have been coaching people is one, like George mentioned, you're networking. Networking is power, because when you talk to different people, you understand what the people do. Sometimes you don't know what the passion you have because you don't know what the other opportunities out there. And also don't judge the opportunity just by the book. People, when they look at the name, they say, oh, that's not for me. Actually, when you dig into it, get some insights, and say, wow, that's interesting. So out of my career, I had looking for opportunities to do kind of a job rotation. Like I did engineer, I did quality and supply chain, sales, and marketing, branding, and coaching. So when you do the job rotation, you really find out what you're good at and where you could bring most value. But get out of your comfort zone is very important. But I'm not asking you to say, hey, I'm going to try 10 different things. I don't know where that will lead me to. That's where our class, how to empower yourself by really have insights, have information, have relationships. That would really help you take the shortcut and reduce the learning curve. Thank you.
Thank you. George, instead of answering that one, I've got one that came up and we only have 2 minutes left. I want to feed this one specifically to you. It's Shi Chen asked, may I ask how to negotiate an offer as an engineer with 2 years of experience? May I ask how to leverage my strengths or how to impress the interviewer? George, this is right up your alley.
Well, 2 years is not a long time, but I think what you need to do is assess your skill set that you're good at, and then leverage that in your discussion with the interviewer. I think most people don't even realize how good they are. And I think you have to, sometimes you have to be honest with yourself, but most in this context of Chinese American tend to be more humble than they really are. What you want to look for is really a set of skill that might be transferable to the next job. And most people don't study the job that they're interviewing for to understand what skill set is needed. That's one thing you need to do. is if you applying for a job 2 years later, that's different. Applying jobs now, you got to assess that job right away. So my suggestions for people is really understand the job that you're interviewing for and see what skill that you have today. I don't make it up because it will be very transparent. But I think do an honest assessment, but don't be so humble in a way you don't speak about your expertise. And working for the government, everybody say they are expert in everything, but 3 questions later, you know what they are expert in. And this is what you want to avoid, is don't try to outsell yourself, but be confident and understand your skill set. That's 1.5 minutes, I think.
That was great, George. Yes. And, your art of closing the deal, is a great series. I really enjoyed reading those. If I could also just summarize what you said earlier about the career path, is if you don't know where you're going, it doesn't matter where you end up, right?
That's true. If you don't care where you end up, it could be, but honesty, some of us cannot control it, right?
Yes.
My path was interrupted. I was on my way to senior vice president, right? Acting general manager and so on. But then we went into a bubble in Lucent Technology. I took the early retirement and it guys go totally different directions, right? So this is, sometimes you cannot help it, but go in different directions. But generally you can manage your path.
Yes, but leveraging back to the journey is, as you were saying, if you analyze yourself, what skills do you currently have? And what are the next series of progressions you might want to take? Yeah. And then compare, what are your gaps? What are the key experiences, skills, credentials you're lacking? And start planting seeds, because some of those credentials would take you 4 years to get. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. So you've been reading my article. I could tell.
Yeah, well, I've also lived it, so I understand it. Plan ahead. Have that journey in mind, and have the destinations or the experiences you want to have before you retire. And so be working those things. If you wait till the interview, to try and think up, like, what are some cool techniques I can use? That's what George was saying, watch out for, is don't outsmart yourself and find yourself in a job you're not qualified for, right? You want to prepare. So when you get that nice job, like Kathy said, you want to shine your first 90 days. You don't want to be learning, like, what is this coding language I said I could do? I've got 90 days to be good at it, right? You're already in trouble. Yeah. Fred, you want to make any comment in closing?
Well, yeah. So, this both are great questions and critical questions. First question is, I will give, to match yourself to the job description the best, and then present yourself as the best. And then, because you only have a few years experience, and then, successful case track record will win that conversation. And you match yourself to the job description, it will win your conversation. And George's comments is absolutely, you don't know what you ended up your career, but you'll never stop learning. Okay, never stop thinking what you're gonna do when you grow up, and then follow the trend, and then you will find it out. You will find that out. Nothing is it will always say impossible, but doable, right? So, yeah.
Great. Thank you, Fred. We got one last question before we time out. And before I give this question, I want to thank Angeline and AFI, Alliance for Impact, for being our partner and working with us to create the opportunity to share to this audience. So now I'm going to give the last question to Fred. Okay, I'm a biology major. What options can work for me? Like pharmaceuticals, or what other could I consider? How can I make progress with this major? Any thoughts, Fred?
Well, if you're just graduated, biology is a foundation, one of the cornerstone of the foundation, is by no means enough, so it could be leading you to any healthcare related industries. You could even be a house insurance agent. Okay, so you can work FDA like the drug reviewer, and then you also can work and climb the ladder of the developing biological drugs and then to treat rare disease. And then that's really just like go back to our topic, where your passion is. Maybe your passion for R&D for a new drug for a certain period, and then you think you wanted to shape up the regulation, you shape up the regulatory body, you shape up the government, you go to FDA, you go to HHS, right? So it's bright, unlimited, but it really depends how you start.
Great. That's a great answer. I learned something from that myself. Thank you, Fred.
You're welcome.
There was a question here. Any obligations after joining AFI or following MyT? On LinkedIn for either, there's no obligations. And as far as going to the websites, I don't believe there's an obligation to follow or join AFI, subscribe. And for MyT, we have a free membership. You just subscribe, you get alerts, announcements, even some free information, from us. But then we also have paid memberships, which allow you to customize and build your board of directors and access the member resources, the articles, the videos, and some member exclusive events. So it's only obligated if you buy the membership, but then that's your choice, right? Okay, I think this is an appropriate time to close it out. We're about 5 minutes over. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. We really
Mark, before we leave, so many people complain they have a hard time to get on. Can we hear some feedback? What the issues they have?
Yes, sure.
So yeah, George, Fred, you guys feel free to leave. So anybody has trouble to get in? I guess for people who got in, probably no issues. But I got a lot of complaints. Angeline, are you online? So I guess people who are here, do you have trouble to get in? To get in the Zoom?
They can type it into chat, right?
Yeah, so just now I was forced to restart the Zoom.
Yeah, that could be a Zoom issue, right?
So there are a lot of people complain they have to register a few times and they have to shut down the computer. Yeah, just a lot of people complain cannot get in.
Yeah, I had to shut down my computer and come back in, but that could be a nature of my internet connection.
Yeah. So some people say we have the setting authorized registration, so that probably prevent a lot of people, because for people who are not Zoom members, they cannot get in. So we need to remove that authorized registration.
Mm.
Well, yeah. There's always a room for improvement, right?
Yeah. So today there seems every single WeChat group, a lot of people cannot get in.
All right.
If we want to there was one flyer that was sent out with the wrong Zoom ID. Unfortunately, that was I think that was our fault, sharing an early flyer. We changed the Zoom ID after that. So now we have the same Zoom ID for the next 20 weeks. It should prevent that particular problem.
So I have to try several times. So suppose we should be same like a AFI events, just register, come right in. Seems they'll have issues. So I think one thing is, it seems we only allow the people with Zoom accounts. could get in, but most people don't have Zoom accounts.
Really? Most of them don't have.
Most don't. They just
Alright.
click the link, they get in. Zoom accounts, you have membership with Zoom.
Right. So the Thursday meetings that we've been doing are Zoom meetings, right? Where you can just click links or enter.
But this one's supposed to be too. I think in our
this was a webinar.
yeah, I know. Even webinar, the settings, we need to make some changes.
Yeah, of course we want to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
You see, try it every way. It seems most people have issues.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I hope we fix it before next Tuesday.
Well, maybe you can help us. You're very good at Zoom.
I'm not actually.
Certainly.
I know how to use it, but I don't know how to create it.
You're
We
very
have a
good at
great-
IT and Zoom and all that stuff. So we could certainly add you to the committee, make it better.
We need to talk to Zoom administrator if we run into those issues.
Well, you know Eric Wan. Maybe you can hook us up, right? He's one of your friends. So
Well, it took a half hour to get in. Sorry, guys.
All right.
Yeah, I got so many complaints now on my WeChats. Even last time, all the VIP members cannot get in.
Yeah, when you organize Zoom event, there is a level of sophistication Zoom has, and to register you, and then give you a Zoom link. That kind of prevent you from this direct access, which potentially could be a security risk.
right.
People
Yeah,
could
no, this
crash.
is
So
this
it's a trade-off. You have to decide easy use, and potentially somebody could be crashing it with a just jump right in. So
Yes, that's right.
No,
And then
this
you
is
have
some
to-
great feedback. I understand about the setting. Yes, we did require attendees to be a Zoom account, so we can change that setting going forward. I didn't realize it was preventing.
Marco,
so
can you
many
stop
people.
the recording? Thank you.
Recording stopped.
Yeah, so I think we need to change the setting next Tuesday. This is, I mean,